Play.
Hello, guys. Welcome back from the sort of quiet corners of my own flat. Last week, you were probably able to see me on the show quite a few times during doing interviews in Porto, or maybe just heard me asking questions at press conferences in Porto. I'm back in Poland. I'm back to the watch along thing, sort of. And yes, we're going to be doing Gabriel Diallo against Karen Khachanov in Montreal today. This is actually a very interesting match. I mean, on paper, maybe it might not seem like it. Karen Khachanov, favorite of this clash, sure. Generally, a player who's really solid and kind of just always beats the lower ranked guys, if you may. But that's not been the case recently, right? I mean, that's not really been a thing for Karen of late. And in fact, in Washington last week, he had a Jesus. I mean, just an absolutely horrible performance against Seong Hong. He was so all over the place. He was like his forehand was extremely wobbly. You just never knew if he was gonna make it or not. He was out of it mentally as well. So yeah, I mean, Khachanov. Oh Jesus, what a start! But yeah, Khachanov might have to step it up today. But well, so far we've got love 30 on the Diallo serve already, as Gabriel now puts a volley into the net, and this was a volley. Well, I mean, I don't want to say into the open court, but practically a half open court, if you may. And well, that's not the best start for the Canadian. Still a pretty young player, of course, after a sort of very illustrious college career. And last year he actually won a match in at this event. But last year this event for the men's was held in Toronto, and Gabriel Diallo defeated Daniel Evans there. Daniel Evans at the time was, of course, coming off that Washington title, which this year he couldn't defend because of his participation in the Olympics. Um, in 2022, when Diallo was playing in Montreal for the first time, he also managed to score a big win. At the time, his qualifying win, qualifying round one over James Duckworth, was considered a massive upset. Of course, these days it wouldn't really be like it. Um, when it comes to, yeah, some massive power coming in now from Diallo on the 7+1 forehand. We're going to see a lot of this. And actually, if Diallo is going to win this match, if Diallo is going to threaten, we're going to have to see a lot of this because his return game is not particularly strong. It's pretty low margin. However, he definitely has, weaponry, and he's also a pretty solid athlete. I think in many ways he kind of compares to Ben Shelton, just being a bit of a right-handed version, which yeah, is much worse. I mean, needless to say. But yeah, what I was gonna say, yeah, Diallo also a pretty messy season so far. He actually got some nice milestones. I mean, qualifying for the French, obviously that was big. Almost winning a match there, losing in 5 sets to Kei Nishikori. Definitely a great experience, although the match was sort of there for the taking, many occasions. But after that, in the summer, he came to the North American hardcourt season, usually his favorite hunting ground, and he just dominated the Chicago Challenger. He didn't even get broken the entire week, defeating Fonseca in the quarters, defeating Buyun Chaokete in the final, so Jacob Fernie in the semis, so a very strong set of opponents. And then last week in Lexington, he lost to Fonseca in the quarters. Um, Admittedly, I think Diallo was very tired during that run. He couldn't really go back to back. Maybe losing in the quarters just before Montreal will actually help him out here. He gets that first game done with an ace from love 30, pretty much clinical on the next points. Serve doing the damage. If anything had to be like put away, then it also was. So yeah, we're gonna have to see a lot of that from Mr. Diallo today if he is to stand a chance. And I do think he stands a chance. I mean, even the betting odds aren't, as lopsided towards Khachanov as they usually would be, simply because, yeah, that's the form that Karen is in, and Diallo is sort of like a perennially dangerous player, even if he might be a bit out of form sometimes, but he's not right now. But like, even if he's out of form, you don't really want to underestimate him. And the last 2 weeks seem to be The last 2 weeks seem to be sort of suggesting us that Diallo might be on his way to getting some better results during this North American hardcourt swing. But well, he definitely could use a win here. Karen Khachanov beatable, tough but beatable, and we'll see how that turns out. Now, this is of course the first game with the Russian serving. And so far he starts with a couple of good ones. I guess this one must have just touched the line, this second serve. Diallo definitely not the strongest returner on tour, and as I said, he's kind of low margin on it, which also is another Shelton comparison, right? So well, we probably expect him to like maybe link a few good points together once per set rather than actually threaten in every single game of Khachanov. Although last week, I mean, yeah, when Karen lost to Song Chan Hong, I mean, he was just so all over the place that who knows, actually. Maybe at this stage we just don't know what to really expect from Khachanov, who used to be a very solid player, right? Used to be one of these guys who like always beat the players he was expected to beat and just was kind of struggling to break through to the higher echelon since winning that ATP 1000 years back in Paris-Bercy. I actually have to check if this would be the biggest win of Diallo's career. I mean, other than that one against Evans last year, I'm struggling to come up with an example that could kind of come close even. I did also, however, I do think there was also a Davis Cup win that he posted that was really solid. But I think still ranking wise, this could be the biggest win of Diallo's career if he pulls it off. But I do have to double check on that since I don't want to make an error here. And oh yeah, Davis Cup. Yes, exactly. So I would have actually. Oh, and Evans was 21 last year, and Khachanov is now 22. So these are very comparable. But yeah, also Davis Cup. Yes, Musetti last year, number 18 at the time. So I remember that there was something in Davis Cup, that he had some Davis Cup magic, which had sort of like the casual observer just screaming at the screen and saying, "Oh wow, this guy's gonna break this upon 100 soon." And honestly, it might be in his near future. I think he has the quality for it. We're just gonna have to see if he can keep delivering it consistently. And also in October, he's gonna be defending 125 points for winning the Bratislava Challenger, the one indoors at the well, near the end of the season. So well, it's not gonna be that easy, but the potential is there. Khachanov gets the first game on the board as well. So the ball is back in Diallo's court, if you may. There's going to be a lot more interesting action coming later today in Montreal as well. Especially, I think the blockbuster for the day is Raonic Rune. Would have done that one if not for the fact that I'm not sure if I'm going to be awake for it. I mean, traveling back from Porto to Poland took a bit. It's not obviously like the flight is like 4 hours, so it's not a big deal. But just the fact that my flight was at 6 p.m., I had to leave the apartment in Porto at noon. Then I have to get from Warsaw to where I live, and that takes another few hours. In Warsaw, I also have to go from the airport to the train station. So yeah, it's the whole thing took like almost a day, and I didn't get too much sleep along the way. So that's why I'm basically unsure if I'm gonna be able to watch Raonic Rune and this Diallo Khachanov match, which still is very interesting. Looked like a bit of a better call. Gabriel making a couple of double faults in a row here, asks the ball boy to bring him the towel. Of course, that is an well, I can't say an innovation, but that is something new that has been well returned to the circuit after a couple of years. Personally, not sure if we need it, but well, some players still refuse to do it. Some players still just take their towels themselves. Seemed like this could be one of the things that we kind of stay with after COVID, right? That this weird duty for the ball boys that they have to bring the players their sweaty towels will be relieved of them. But in the end, we are back in that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. 1540 now, the two double faults plus now a wild +1 forehand error, and Diallo for the first time in this match is in trouble. A block return from Khachanov invites the attack to the net from the Canadian, and he manages to clinch the point. So one more break point coming Khachanov's way. But yeah, this one was nicely saved by Diallo. Got the first serve in, didn't struggle with the semi-uncomfortable, I would say, forehand block return from Karen. Found a nice, safe, big target as well when it comes to the approach. I think generally you probably want to be approaching to the Khachanov forehand maybe. But yeah, in this case, it was definitely the right call to go the other way. And this time he's going to have to save it on a second serve. It's a pretty big one, but he's in a rally trying to beat Khachanov in this backhand pattern, and he won't be able to do it. It's a lot of depth from the Russian there on that shot. Diallo trying to go like down the line, but also kind of inside in with the backhand, inside out, sorry. And yeah, and he gets broken. The ball doesn't clear the high net around that, around that part of the court. So yeah, not a great start for him, that's for sure. It's not a given that one break will be enough, of course, in this match. Definitely not. But yeah, it's not the start that Gabriel Diallo wanted. He certainly, especially in this game, has looked a bit tense, edgy. The two double faults to start, I mean, they didn't help him out. But even in the first game, he was love 30 down. I see my mouse has unplugged. Let me try to fix that. Because otherwise I won't be able to get to your comments and stuff like that. But hopefully we will soon be able to repair that. That is the plan at the very least. Uno momento, as they probably say in Italian. I actually don't know if it's Italian or if it's just Italian that people came up with, and people don't actually say that, but I don't know. Anyway, now I am here. Oh, and we also have the producer. I was actually gonna I was actually gonna start thinking about putting the score on the screen myself, but since we have someone here, that's not a concern anymore. Nurlan in the chat, Ashley in the chat, Excellency in the chat. That's the same as Nurlan, by the way. That guy Diallo is 6'8", says Ashley. 6'8", is that possible? Oh, could be, maybe. I would say like maybe. Is he really 6'8"? Could be like 6'6", maybe. Can I please put scores up? Yeah, we already have scores. Have you drunk what? No, I don't think I've drank that. It's literally the first time I'm seeing this name. So yes, Karen is top 10 player. Oof. I don't know. Well, not right now, not this season, but of course, with kind of his super solid game the last few years, he was sometimes on the outskirts of the top 10. He was making a lot of deep runs at the slams. It's just this year that things started falling apart for him a little bit. But who knows? This would be a nice win to get back on track after Washington and whatever it was, last week. That performance against Hong, which, yeah, was probably one of the weakest he's had, honestly, on tour for the past 5 seasons or so. I don't know if we can remember many Khachanov performances that were as tragic. Like literally, this is one of the guys who usually is extremely solid and just never loses the match that he's sort of not supposed to lose, if you may. All right, that is a very nice response from Diallo. It's just a shame from his perspective that this happens at love 30 already. That depth on the Khachanov forehand here was definitely there. I think it lands on the baseline, and Diallo kind of just swats the ball away from like waist high. Khachanov definitely not expecting an aggressive response to his previous stroke there. I mean, he thought that Diallo was going to be in like deep defense, but that was not the case, obviously. But seems like he can weather that storm. As Ashley says, Diallo does need to wait on return. If you don't have photo, you are nobody. Interesting. Um, is it true that I like you better than Ashley? I'm not gonna be playing favorites here. Definitely not. Um, some of you haven't liked this video, and Azarenka knocks out Pavlyuchenko. Lower than my potential today. I actually feel pretty okay. Um, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it shows that I'm a bit tired, but I feel okay for now. I will also have to do some work after this match, so I might still stick around and watch Raonic Rune. There's also Eubank Spitziri in Lincoln, which I would like to catch. So it might be possible for me to actually stay even a few more hours, but I don't know. Maybe the fact that I had like 3 hours of sleep is actually showing. You guys are probably a better judge of that. But yeah, myself, I feel okay. So I've definitely had streams where I had even less in the tank, if you may. There was this one in Mauthausen, I think, when I was doing like WT weekly or ATP weekly. I don't remember, but I was just absolutely knackered, and it was definitely visible. By the way, great combination here from Diallo, who's already 1-3 down, but starts with this super nice forehand combo. Took the last one so early that I didn't really think he was going to maintain it and, still not make an error, but actually he managed that. And yeah, just hopefully he can just get back on the board and give us a competitive first set from here. Not ideal for him to get broken early because, as I said, the return game isn't too strong. Although in Chicago, I mean, I mentioned that run, he was not broken the entire week, but it's not like he was winning in tie breaks mostly. Like, players just weren't getting with him to tie breaks for the most part. I think maybe only Fonseca did and Yun Keta in Bu in the final. I think that was it. So it's not like he was winning purely on tie breaks. It wasn't the kind of Berettini Stadran or something like that, or was it Kitzbühel? Kitzbühel, I guess, where he was winning the tie breaks only for the first 5 sets or so. It actually still was, it still included breaking the other players. It's just a question whether someone with Khachanov's serve will be that easy for him to break. We'll see. So far, it seems like we are seeing maybe a bit more of a. Ooh, has he really missed that volley? Oh, wow. Yeah, the umpire is showing him that it's like. I think he might have. Yeah, that was just. Yeah, we see it on the Hawkeye replay now that it's definitely long. Yeah, this is just careless, but at 40 love, he can probably afford it. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Yeah, that Khachanov seems a little bit more solid than when he played Hong in Washington. I also think it's a different matchup and maybe one where Karen will be just a little better suited to it at the moment because, well, he's not gonna have to think all that much, right? Everything is gonna come at a very quick pace, and he's gonna be able to rely on instinct a lot. Whereas against Hong, it wasn't quite like it. Like Hong still played pretty quick off the ground and attacked him, but there was still a lot of opportunities to create for Khachanov, and that's usually when he was just like, yeah, sending every forehand long. So I think this matchup might be a little better for him, especially if he's going to dominate the serve return game, which so far he kind of has been. And I just said that that error from Diallo was careless, but he can probably afford it. Now we will actually learn if he can. Lots will depend on this point, and Khachanov is doing very well to stay in it. Again, just the ability to absorb pace of that backhand corner, pretty brutal here, as Diallo was just hoping that that +1 forehand is going to give him an easy setup for the point later. I don't know, a short ball maybe. But Khachanov gets to it and produces a counter that's probably faster than the original forehand from Diallo. And to that, the Canadian finds no response. So after 40 love and that careless volley, we are deuce. But he's going to find an ace out wide. so far, I guess, 3 appearances at this event, Diallo, and he's always won a match at least. It wasn't easy. I mean, last year, Daniel Evans just won Washington, and Diallo gets him in the first round, number 21 in the rankings. So it's not like he was getting scrubs, let's say. But yeah, today is also a tough task, but one that's given his recent Chicago performance and Khachanov's shaky form, you kind of feel like he could pull off. And well, maybe that's a strategy. He wins the point, he gets the game, he just goes kind of hard at the middle, but at the middle in the way that Khachanov has to hit a forehand from. And the grip just completely doesn't respond to all that pace going at him linear, pretty linear power, but it was enough. Definitely, you can get some Khachanov errors like this going through his forehand with big pace, quite flat, and you're probably gonna see the ball fly out like this a few times at the very least. Yafang Wang whooped Kenin apparently. Wasn't that a 7-6-7-5? I think so. Under 10.5 games? That doesn't really make sense, but I don't know. Yafan Wang, yeah. I don't think she whooped Kenyon, at least based on the score, but well. Worst shot ever from Nicolas Jarry, says our producer. He's playing, of course, Tomas Martin Echeverry at the moment. Yeah, I probably won't be able to check that back, but although I might just do it now, is it worth it? Is Emma Raducanu not playing in Canada Open? I don't see her in the draw. She's not. She didn't get a wildcard and she didn't sign up for a qualifying. And I think it's the same story with Cincinnati as well. 7-6 to all 30 love. I mean, you kind of started selling that, pretty highly here, or highly and lowly at the same time, I suppose. And now I'm thinking about checking that out because later it might not be an option for me. So I think I will actually jump through from Diallo Khachanov for a second and see if that Jari shot was really as abysmal as you painted it to be. Let's see. Quick jump to Echeverry Jari to see 1 point as Nicolas Jari it 2-all. Oh, but out. Okay, so he was very low up, and then the point will come. All right. Let me try to find it. Okay, I have the point now. Let's see. Jari serving. Gets the serve in. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, he just kind of like ran body first into it, right? I mean, the ball was like perfectly in the middle. He didn't know if he can take it from the backhand or the forehand. Ah, and yeah, you can see it on the replay as well. A bit of a, let's say, misjudged situation from him rather than anything else. But yeah, sure. I guess you can kind of escape with that. I guess it was relatively worth seeing. Probably not for Nicolas Jarry fans though. And let's see how, in the meantime, Karen Khachanov has been doing. I'm having a replay of one of the points. Wow, that's a good pass from Diallo. Kind of open stance on the backhand. Khachanov maybe could have been a bit closer to the net, but even then, I think he might have run into some trouble with the Canadian really pushing him far wide here. And it's 15-30. Okay. Diallo sensing the opportunity, tries to move in with the second serve return. Kinda works, kinda doesn't. Now he's just running around. But as I said, I mean, athletically, he is really good. He is a big guy, but it's not like he doesn't have that ability to scramble for balls and probably should be relying on it a bit more often, which, and again, is just another similarity to Shelton, I think. And it's gonna give him 2 breakpoints here. He was so quick covering that forehand there. So 2 breakpoints for Mr. Diallo. Net cord on the return. Ay, can't quite find the pass. But yeah, I think it was just a 1 in a million type of shot. Khachanov played the approach too well. Of course, it seems findable. Yes, he had a play on the ball, if you may, but if he found it, it would have been an insane piece of shot making. So I think Khachanov deserves a lot of credit for how this approach went, especially after the net court as well, which maybe set him up for an even easier +1 forehand, kinda, but at the same time, like, yeah, it made things trickier too with the timing. And again, the pattern is similar. I mean, it's a short return from Diallo. This time, Khachanov is in more trouble because the approach is not quite as good, or he doesn't really have the space to play it better, I guess. And Diallo tries to pass him like directly at the body, which could work, but Karen is quick to move away from the ball in time, finds the forehand volley, and we are back at deuce. And in fact, we are ready at game point Khachanov as he lands an ace down the tee. This was a chance for Diallo, but I mean, you cannot argue with the first serves that Khachanov has been putting in, right? And then just kind of both occasions he plays the +1 forehand into the Diallo forehand corner. He approaches the net. Once he has to play a volley, once he doesn't. But yeah, you kind of cannot argue with that. And again, it's a great serve down the tee. So I think the story of this game is more just about Khachanov at 1540 peaking on serve on the next 4 points. And even when the serve was returned, still doing well to clean up the point quickly. So um, it was a chance for Diallo, but it never really was one unless Khachanov missed that volley off the middle, which I think was very, very missable actually. He kind of got it like on his elbow rather than anything else, and really had to move away quickly, play on reflexes rather than actually have the time to like cook up the best volley possible. But yeah, he did well. But now we have Diallo back on serve at 2-4. He does seem like he eased his way into the match mentally a little bit now. I mean, he's definitely a bit more open, I would say, and just kind of, yeah, finds that serve, pumps himself up when he lands it, when he lands the point, when he lands the +1 winner, and does seem to be in just, overall better serving rhythm. Someone who was not in serving rhythm today, Borna Goyo, returned. I don't know if you guys missed him or not, but he was out for 7 months since Auckland. He basically played the first 2 weeks of the season, then was out with an injury for such a long time. And today, well, he was not quite the Borna Goyo we knew last year around this part of the year, right? I mean, when he made the fourth round at the US Open and wasn't doing horribly against Novak either in that match, but yeah, I mean, certainly was not the kind of machine with brutal power of pretty much any shot that we were used to. Maybe it will take time, and he does need to save himself or like get back on track pretty quickly, given that that U.S. Open second week is points defense, if you may, is coming. There was one +1 error from Diallo here, but he's still 40-15 up. Was just trying to take it way too quickly on the inside in, but so far doing a really good job in this game too. So now gonna try to clean it up with the serve and volley. Yeah, mixed feelings about this. Obviously, right to go there. Probably the execution. I mean, Carlos Alcaraz makes that first volley. Probably a lot of good doubles players make that first volley. Is it absolutely fine for Gabriel Diallo to miss it? Maybe 40-30 still. And he's gonna get the game. Khachanov's return is long, so still just one break between the two. Diallo had 2 break points in his previous return game, in his previous opportunity to get back into the set, but of course couldn't really do much as Khachanov fired 4 first serves in a row and was just unplayable on these few points. What else do we have? Yeah, welcome both Ashleys for sure. Lazy assumption question, but Delpo apart, Latin Americans not good on anything but clay, and if so, why? I mean, they all grew up. They all grow up on clay courts. I mean, what? No, what kind of story do we want there? I mean, they all grow up on clay courts, so some of them aren't horrible. Obviously, France Cerundolo isn't bad on like anything really, but that's when you have the kind of game that translates well. But why are Latin Americans only good on clay? I mean, if they play 95% of their life on clay, then how are they going to be good anywhere else, right? I mean, Mariano Navone was in the top 30 without earning any points on hard courts or grass courts. I think to this day, he has only earned hard court points in one event, and that's in 2020, a quarterfinal at an ITF. I mean, of course, by now he also has 10 points on his ranking from a grass court event, but that's Wimbledon, so he got them by making the main draw. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys like that in South America, especially. I think Latin America, if you want to include like Mexico, then it wouldn't work. Mexicans tend to be better on hard courts. There's a ton of hard courts in Mexico, and that probably doesn't really cover it. But like South America, they only really play on clay. So if some of them have like a very naturally a game that very naturally translates, then sure. I mean, you're gonna have your Serundolos, you're gonna have your Jaris, who even though he's at his best on clay because it's the most natural for him, again, has the weaponry to succeed anywhere. Don't count Tabilo into it because Tabilo was born and raised in Canada. But yeah, that's what they grow up on. That's what they're best on. It's not like here where, like in Europe, we generally tend to play on clay in the summer, or at least in like Central European Europe, we tend to play on clay. Tend to play on clay in the summer, and then hard courts indoors in the winter when the outdoor courts are not an option. But there they pretty much play every single month of the year on on clay courts outdoors, right? So it's also a climate thing as well in a way. Why has Benjamin Hassan only now hitting his peak 143? Seems so talented. I mean, is really like Benjamin Hassan a top 100 level talent? Probably not, but 143 is not a bad ranking for him. I wouldn't disagree. And Benjamin Hassan over the years has many times said that he was a bit lazy in his, let's say, early 20s, that he wasn't really doing that much with the talent that he had that reputation for like kind of not maybe maximizing his opportunities. And well, is it that easy that he changed his mindset and started having better results? To an extent, I guess. But I don't know. Top 100 Benjamin Hassan? I don't know if I would kind of buy it. We've had some fairly weak top 100 players as well. I mean, Zdenek Kolarz almost got there, or like Franco Agamenone, so who knows. Do Americans grow up on grass though? I mean, no, but they grow up on quick hard courts, so that's a lot easier to translate it. Plus, like, are Americans actually good on grass? Some of them are, but not every single one of them. Is Shelton doing well on grass? Was Tommy Paul up until a certain point doing well on grass? Not really. But I mean, if you grow up on a quicker hard court generally, then obviously it's going to be easier for you to take your game because it's also going to have different assets, different strengths. It's going to be much easier for you to take that game to clay courts. I mean, to grass courts, if we're talking on like a general level. But I have to say that like out of all these discussions, I tend to exclude grass courts as a whole because it's just not a surface anymore. I mean, it's a month in the season. It's still longer than a couple of years ago, of course, but But yeah, it just shouldn't really be in comparisons like this. There's no grass court specialists anymore outside of like Alex Bolt or I don't know, Denis Kudla. Kudla doesn't really count either because like on the Challenger Tour, pretty much all of his results are on hard courts. It's only on the main tour where he's got like a bit of a preference for grass. But yeah, there's no grass court specialist anymore because you can't be good 1 month a year. So that surface kind of to me like doesn't really belong in discussions like this anymore. But I mean, yeah, it's obvious that it's gonna be easier to take your quick hardcourt game to a grass court than your clay court one, generally speaking. Especially as while you're kind of brought up in that system, you are also more likely to develop a game that will have strengths that are accentuated on this surface. 3-5 down Diallo. A bit of invention from him here with that forehand dropper. Not a bad one. Definitely a well disguised attempt. Gets it done. But it's still going to be all about that next game and all about whether he can threaten Karen Khachanov on return. So far only did that once, but then Khachanov like really fired up for the next 4 points and just landed every first serve. This time another serve and volley at 4-0 up from Diallo, and this one is not going to be quite as wild. So yeah, he gets the game done, and after the change of ends, he's going to return to to try to break and keep himself in the set. Gabriel Karen, Khachanov is leading, but was the pretty much favorite and is leading by a break in the first set. In fact, is about to serve for it. So obviously, he's a slightly stronger favorite right now than he was at the beginning. But has he been outplaying Diallo? Probably not, right? I mean, it's been relatively close. Very fast-paced match as well, but that's another time. That's like something we're just gonna expect from these two. And especially even Khachanov, right? I mean, he's just anytime he gets a return that's like middle of the court, he instantly goes after his first forehand and approaches. So yeah, I think both of them are contributing to the fact that the pace of play in this one has been pretty rapid. Diallo sitting down on the change of ends now. I wonder what he's thinking. I mean, obviously he's thinking, gotta break now. Get get your ass together, mate. Well, mate, he probably doesn't say. That would be like a Jordan Thompson thing. But Jordan Thompson, by the way, played on this court just before Diallo and Khachanov, and that's actually why we started the stream relatively quickly compared to my estimate, because Mr. Purcell and Thompson defeated Auger-Aliassime Galarneau 6-love 6-1. Well, I mean, obviously they were the big favorites, but yeah, still pretty brutal scoreline. Alexis also lost his final qualifying round earlier today, and yeah, not the best day for him for sure. Auger seems still in the event, gonna play Flavio Cobolli tomorrow as Karen Khachanov starts the 10th game of the match with a double fault. Gives Diallo that glimmer of hope that the Canadian is hoping for at the moment. And I think for the sort of for the sake of a good match, I think we also kind of wanna see Diallo break here and check out what happens then in the tie break, for example. But yeah, Khachanov's job, of course, right now is going to be to try to stop us from getting that. And so far, once again, he's just finding a good serve, +1 forehand right away, get to the net, give Diallo no time to think, no time to react at all. And it is much better. I mean, Khachanov is playing so much better than against Hong in Washington last week. Are the courts better for Karen as well here? Maybe. It's actually a pretty fair argument, I think, given they are a little, well, actually compared to Washington, maybe not. They are definitely a bit slower, I think, compared to Toronto. So the venues that are that are changing every year between the men's and the women's event, and I think they also catch spin a bit better, which is good for Khachanov, obviously. And well, Khachanov now 40-15 up, 2 set points. 2 serves in a row that were very close to the line. Diallo standing pretty close and isn't really doing much with these returns, but now that approach pays off. You could see how quickly that return was back at Khachanov's feet, as he couldn't handle it. The crowd gets a little bit more lively and they are sort of like, on the edge of their seats. But it's still 1 more set points for Mr. Khachanov. When I said on the edge of their seats, I suddenly started thinking about the seeds, sort of like who's seated where and stuff. But anyway, we've got a deuce here as Diallo with this kind of like a 180 move, I think, after the return. He manages to get it in, make it slightly uncomfortable with Khachanov with both the short, the lack of depth on the shot and also the angle. And the Russian throws out his +1 backhand, after which he, as sort of the tradition goes already in this match, was trying to go to the net. So it's deuce, and it's second serve as well. Diallo gets the return in play. That's kind of half the job sometimes. And he's gonna have his chances in this rally, and in fact, he's gonna have way more than his chances in this rally. Deep backhand on the line there from him, and he sets up the forehand, which he then takes for a winner and for another breakpoint. We saw what Khachanov was doing on the previous breakpoint opportunities for Diallo, just snappy, quick points, big serves. Not this time, as it's going to be a second. Diallo again moving back on the second serve returns. He's taking the first pretty quickly, but the seconds he's moving back, gotta get it in play. He does. Is on the attack. Khachanov has to defend with the slice. Diallo to the net. Oh wow, the ball from Khachanov, that moon ball is gonna save him? Really? Yes, it will. Oh my! Oh wow, that was a crazy point. Um, could Diallo have done something here? I mean, I don't know, honestly. We don't get the replay on that moon ball, but earlier in the point, I think he was pretty precise with his forehand. He just went to the net. Smashing that ball probably was not really an option. He ended up getting back to neutral with Khachanov and then can't quite. I mean, he chases down the drop shot from Karen, but not good enough to disallow the Russian to like just play this forehand lunging volley. And yeah, it was another chance, and he was up in the point, but did he actually get a good opportunity to finish it off? Debatable. Still deuce though. Another one of these backhand cross-court patterns that Diallo just cannot be getting into. He's always going to be the more erratic player here, I think. It's like the third or fourth time we're seeing this in this match, and he hasn't won a point yet. I don't think he will either. I mean, at some point he might, but like once per every 6, 7 or something like that, probably. I mean, in that previous point, one of them that I remember, I think he was switching down the line, so he knew that he has to get out of it. This time, no such will was expressed, no such intention was expressed. And yeah, Khachanov set point up again. Bit of an ugly last couple of points. This time it's Karen making a simpler error. Somewhat caused by the depth of the previous shot from Diallo, but we kind of see that Khachanov's game is crumbling a little bit when that first serve isn't in right now. I'm not saying that's always been the case. I'm not saying that's kind of how he looks over the years, but this much at least, like everything flows so easily for him when he's got that first serve in, and he's like he knows exactly what to do. but after the second, it just all becomes a bit of a struggle. And once again, we have Diallo on the front foot after the second serve of Khachanov, but he just misses that forehand cross court. Oh wow, they showed the replay and I kind of stopped, but this is of course the outer side of the line, the doubles alley. But yeah, you could see it was pretty close. The Diallo coach in that, I don't even know how to call it, but like he basically hides himself from the sun on the neck and on the uh, pretty much like his whole face and his neck is covered in some material. I think he was also wearing it when he was in Mauthausen with Gabriel when I watched him live earlier this year. But it was also a bit of a short stay there as he lost to Lukas Neumeier, if memory serves right, in the opening round. Had his chances to win in the second set, but then retired in the third. But anyway, Karen Khachanov, he takes the set. Another error from Diallo, just kind of falling a bit too far behind the baseline. What can you say? I mean, yeah, the two breakpoints he had earlier this set, Diallo, he couldn't do much on. I mean, it was just great first serves from Khachanov and then follow it up. But then this one in this 10th game, I mean, that was kind of where the set was won and lost, I think. Khachanov saving himself with that moonball. I don't know if Diallo really had much to do there. Like, he had to get back to neutral, I think, in that point. And of course, from that position, he lost it. 15 winners, 16 unforced errors for Diallo, 5-11 for Khachanov, but it's actually Karen who wins the set. Diallo winning just 14% of his second serve points, but he is getting a lot of his first serves in. So, the sample size isn't too big there. We're going to have to see how that goes. Also, that 14 is massively impacted by the double faults he made. So, probably I would assume it's like, I don't know, like 1 out of 7 and 2 were double faults. So but yeah, I mean, just that one sloppy game really that Diallo had at the beginning of the set, it set the tone for the rest of it. It's not that Khachanov didn't give him any opportunities to break, but at the same time he was really clutch on them. So I guess, well, the deserved winner in the end gets that opening set, and we will have to wait and see what happens in the second one. Khachanov on the bench. I don't know if Diallo has gone to the bathroom or not. Hmm. Nurlan, are you a member? Because you're always telling people to be a member. I don't know if you are. What is the country that you would like to visit as a tourist? For me, it is China. Funny enough, we were talking about this with John in Porto. How China is one of the countries he kind of can't go to because of certain reasons related to work, and that he would like to potentially. I don't know if I would. I mean, personally, I would kind of be scared of a country like that who kind of like is a bit more unpredictable in terms of their government, their regime. It's not that I'm an expert on Chinese politics, but I don't know. I kind of like staying within the countries that I feel comfortable in and kind of know, exactly what to expect. However, I have to say that like my tourist dreams, they're never gonna happen because like if my life is gonna keep looking like it is right now, my only tourism is going to be tennis tourism, which isn't really tourism at all. You don't actually see much. You just spend the entire day at the venue and come back to the hotel knackered. But what I would like to see at least once is one of these like Caribbean, and maybe not Caribbean even, but like one of these Pacific islands, for example, or yeah, simply just the most secluded possible. I am very interested in places like, I don't know, the furthest you can get up north, the furthest you can get down south. Uh, Recently, I was just like watching on Google Maps this island next to Brazil, which has its airport. They're flying like from two cities in Brazil. There are planes there, and yeah, you just kind of are in a super secluded area. That's something that interests me, and yeah, also like Siberia and uh, again, like the islands next to Alaska, for example. Like, yeah, these things are probably sort of my dreams that will never happen because of many reasons. I mean, most obviously costs, and also just job related stuff. With tennis, we kind of have to be like plugged in all the time, right? And on islands like this, I suppose that's not really possible. So yeah, I don't think it will ever happen, but something like that, like it could even be, one of the like Oceania islands, like Fiji or whatever, like something like that. But even more so, I would like to see one of these like very deserted, almost like islands next to maybe like Alaska, yeah, or Norway. So that's kind of the themes that get to me the most in terms of potential dream travel destinations. But if my life is gonna just turn out fine from here and the way I want it, then I'll probably never do it. But I'm not gonna cry about it. I'm just, yeah, gonna travel a bit of the world while watching tennis, which is also absolutely fine, and I am enjoying that as well. So far, I have not been outside Europe though, so these trips have definitely been somewhat limited geographically. But again, that's mostly just the coast, the coast of it, and even like convenience. Just the fact that you don't have to fly somewhere 10 hours. That's also kind of relevant in this case for sure. Anyway, Diallo was already low 30 down here, but so far it seems like he's gonna be handling his business okay. Drop shot, cross court. Oh wow, he really should have done a better job here. I think he was thinking if Khachanov maybe can find the angle down the line, which I think maybe he could, but it would have been through the high net. I don't know if there was enough space. Anyway, Khachanov goes cross court, and Diallo really should be playing that volley into the court. I think maybe that slight bit of hesitation of like what Karen is going to do, where is he gonna go with that passing shot attempt. Probably that's what killed him. But yeah, the Russian was like out of the court, out of the game, out of the point. So obviously you expect to win a point like this. You also expect to win a point like this, but are you going to win a point like this? I think you are, Gabriel Diallo, but it is somewhat lucky. This was actually a similar volley to the one he missed a couple of games ago. So it's good that he's done better this time. By better, I mean mostly just getting it in play. Khachanov had a bit of an angle for a pass. Some of the sort of raw execution in Diallo's game that we were watching in 2022 is definitely still there in 2024. But what's also there is the great serve, which he finds an ace with here and is going to get that first game on the board in the second set. Of course, in the opening set, this was actually a very similar story of 30 down, wins the game, and then got broken in the third game. So he'll be hoping to avoid a repeat here. And well, we've got some analysis on our screens as well. Khachanov's second serve return placement, mostly going at Diallo's backhand, 50% of the balls. Even the somewhat centric ones are more to the Canadians' backhand for sure, which of course makes sense. He hasn't been particularly like avoiding his forehand. He's had some great approaches even to that wing, but certainly when you're kind of just trying to kickstart a rally. And I even was talking about it like right now, like 5 games ago, right? That basically anytime you have this long backhand cross court exchange, it's very likely Diallo is going to lose it. So should try to avoid falling into patterns like this at all costs. Whereas um, Karen Khachanov is obviously going to be trying to get him into these patterns at all costs as well. So at all costs. I don't know why I said costs. Anyway, never mind. Here's that kind of like sloppiness of the Khachanov forehand being a thing when there's big flat pace coming at him down the middle. He still gets out of it pretty okay though, despite this shot having like very little control, the one that he played of that ball. Eventually gets a more comfortable forehand down the line, follows it up to the net, but this time won't be able to convert it. It is still really tough for Diallo to do anything when Khachanov lands the first serve, though. You're gonna get some yawning on camera so far. Maybe you're gonna get some yawning while I'm talking as well. But yeah, trust me, I've had worse on dogging tennis streams. I've had moments when I was definitely much more tired. And I will indeed have something to finish off as well after this match is done. So I think I might stay up and try to watch that Raonic Rune clash. I don't know what you guys think about Raonic Rune, but to me it seems relatively 50-50 ish. I mean, Holger just coming off that wrist issue. He withdrew because of it from UMAG and the Olympics. So we don't really know where that is. Has he sorted it out or not? But at the same time, like Raonic, you just don't want to play in the opening round ever. You don't want to play him at home either. He made the final in Montreal in 2013. Of course, years back, he was a much better player back then, realistically. But yeah, just the lack of rhythm that his game brings, I think that's really gonna stay. And yeah, seems like a very close affair. That will be in the beginning of the night session on center court or court central, I think, as they call it here in Montreal, since of course it's Quebec. So a lot of things are in French, and also after that, I think it's gonna be Tabilo Tiafo. There's also two more matches coming on this court. One will be Marozhan Dimitrov, and that starts no, Dimitrov Marozhan Karenio Busta, and that starts I think the same time as Raonic Rune. And then there's also a doubles match, which I think involves Dimitrov, and that's why I mentioned his name in vain or not. You judge me. Anyway, Gabriel Diallo, third game of the second set. This is the moment when he got broken in the first, so really crucial to avoid it and yeah, not have to chase from behind again, because as we saw in the first set, that was really tricky when Khachanov was just on top of his game on every break point and making things uncomfortable for the Canadian. I will also probably have to clean my nose a little bit. I got a little sick in Porto. I'm hoping to nurse it until the next challenger that I'm going to, which is on starts on Sunday. So there's not much time, but I mean I think it's just a common cold, so probably should be fine. Hopefully it will not force me to like reduce running or something like that. Probably not. But yeah, I'm glad I'm not at an event this week, and it's only the next one when I'm sort of back on tour, back to the grind. 15 all now. Couple of rallies traded between the players. Khachanov first couldn't absorb power on his backhand, then he gets an error from Diallo because he was able to stay in the point a bit more, a bit longer. Ooh, what can Khachanov do from this position? Yeah, this is such a weird point. And I guess also a very good description of why the Khachanov forehand is such a mediocre stroke at best. He was really in control of this rally, but yeah, just has no ability to flatten it out like this with that grip from below the net, sort of. If he had it on like shoulder high, right, then he would have slapped that forehand, but Yeah, here just forces him to keep going cross court, try to add pace, but in a way that actually gets a bit more comfortable for Diallo, even maybe with every shot, simply because it's the same stroke coming to him every single time, just maybe slightly more powerful. And yeah, looks like Diallo should be able to avoid that fate that met him in the opening set. At least he is 40-15 up now. Can't blame Khachanov for trying to go for that big backhand return winner down the line, but it's not really close. Once again, Diallo has him kind of on the back foot and trying to just win the point through a couple of precise forehands, which exactly is what happens. And well, Gabriel Diallo 2-1 up in the second set. So far, he's keeping up with Khachanov at the very least. Pa, 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 pa. I am scared of Eastern Poland. No, I've been pretty much everywhere in Poland. Obviously, not in every town, not in every spot, but I've done a lot of sightseeing around Poland. That's thanks to my parents, especially in the mountains. But I've done a lot of Eastern Poland trips as well. Not too much actually in the like northeast. I think mostly I was just driving through there when I was going to Vilnius. That's probably the spot like in Poland where I've been to the least. But yeah, I've been to a lot of places in eastern Poland. There are these mountains, for example, at the very southeast, called Bieszczady, which aren't as high as the Tatras, of course, but they are pretty fabulous as well, and they kind of have this very nice system, which I like, where every single like sort of you when you want to get high up, it's always going to be like very steep, but also not that long. So yeah, I like that sort of pace, right? When you have to just slam it up the mountain and not like just go on a stroll. I mean that's the mode I enjoy. So, but I actually haven't been there since maybe 2013 or something like that. So it's been a while. It's probably the place in Poland where I have the sort of like the furthest I live the furthest distance away from. So that doesn't help. Is there a tournament in the Pacific? Numea, New Caledonia, for example, has a challenger start of every season. Obviously, money wise, that would be really tough, but that's, I guess, the best option, really. And it's a fun event because you always get like Australians, Japanese players, um, and sometimes that's even it. Actually, Numea maybe is a bit better. Is a bit better because you've got the players who are going to be in the Australian Open qualities and stuff. But especially when there are some Australian challengers sort of later in the season in a more random slot, then you tend to just have Australia, Japan, and that's it. But yeah, Numea also, of course, is kind of focused on these players a ton. This year actually won by Arthur Cazot, and it really kickstarted him for the Australian Open, obviously, where he made the fourth round. But yeah, that would be probably the best Pacific option. I think there's some ITF events as well. I don't remember if it was like Fiji or something like that. There's Guam, which we talked about in Porto, because Toshihide Matsui had that 25K. It's not necessarily Oceania, of course. It's definitely not, but it's on the Pacific and kind of in a random spot. Yeah, you said in the Pacific, yeah. So I think Guam counts as well, yeah. The M25s in Harmon there, which I think is the capital city of that U.S. territory. Second set tiebreak for Echeverry Jari. Rune marginal favorite, says the producer. Yeah, maybe marginal, but Raonic, a good sign is that at the Olympics he was able to play 3 tiebreaks with Kepfer, and he didn't win, but he kept up with him physically, and that's kind of what we want to know, right? That it's not going to be just another retirement from Mr. Raonic, who like basically most of his events this year ended with retirements or walkovers. At the start of the year, there was this, well, funny or not, I mean, maybe a little funny patch where he was playing a good match, then retiring in the next one, or didn't even come out for the next one, which actually happened against Holger Rune as well. They were already supposed to play in Indian Wells earlier this season, but Milos Raonic beat Sumit Nagal. I don't know if Snehi is in the chat, but if he is, then he definitely like suddenly, started. Oh, Sumit Nagal. His attention grew up rapidly in that moment when I said his name. But anyway, Raonic beat Nagal and didn't come out for the second round against Rune, and then we didn't actually see him on the court for the next 3 months. So, well, is there a chance for Diallo here? There was a slight opportunity, 15-40, but again, Khachanov just kind of, 15-30, but then Khachanov again kind of cleans that up. Here, definitely, this last point, that was a moment where Diallo could have turned it up a bit more, but his forehand there just, he kind of hit it Khachanov style, I have to say. It was a similar grip, it was a similar attempt to like twirl it into the forehand cross court corner, but yeah, wasn't particularly close. So anyway, 4 games in, we are still on serve. Let's see if Gabriel Diallo can keep pressuring. Ay 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 ay. I had a bad feeling about this. I have to say, when I saw this semi-accidental return from Khachanov just land into the court, but just barely, and Diallo having so much space to hit into, I had a bad feeling about this, and he indeed missed that +1 forehand. Was it in the unmissable category? I think for a pro, kinda, yeah. If I miss that, I probably don't even laugh about it. I mean, it's not even that sort of thing, but for a pro, it's kinda for a pro who relies on the quality of his +1 forehand as well. And well, for a pro who relies on the quality of his serve, he cannot be giving breaks away because of double faults like he did in the first set, and maybe has just done now. I mean, I don't know. Love 30 though. Oh no! Oh, okay. He still wins the point, but yeah, Diallo is a bit all over the place mentally right now, and you can see it. Even with this +1 forehand, he like really had no idea what to do. Just sends it down the middle, but not with much pace. So he gives Khachanov that opportunity to step things up potentially. But it seems like he might climb out of this. That would be a good recovery, given he was looking really shaky in this point. Ooh, and that's the best volley he's played the entire match. This time of the backhand corner. Really good decision there to go behind Khachanov. Karen was just chasing down in the other direction, expecting a small sort of like cross-court stab volley. Probably the more obvious play in that moment. But yeah, in the end, it's Diallo claiming the 3-2 lead. So yeah, still up. Apparently, Benjamin Locke beat Thiago Tirante in Bogota. That's pretty huge. I mean, both of them like altitude conditions, but it's Benjamin Locke. Thiago Tirante defeated Andrei Rublev just last month. Is Benjamin Locke better than Andrei Rublev? I mean, maths kind of suggest that right now. What do we have here? Oh, Ghosty showed up, and suddenly the comments disappeared for me for a second, but then they appeared again. Yeah, I mean, both Tatras and Bieszczady are in the Carpathians. Yes, Ghosty. Long lost. Sure. Um, should go get me a beer and some salt and vinegar almonds. I might have a beer in the fridge. That salt vinegar almonds thing, no, probably not happening. Yeah, I've eaten salt and vinegar chips, I think. Almonds, though? Flavored almonds? How does that even work? Yeah, 47 aces. Fonseca beat Diallo on the way to the title and lost to Diallo on the way to the Diallo title in Chicago. Slightly disappointed there, the Canadian, after missing that backhand pass. Again, Khachanov just really loving that big first serve down the tee, +1 forehand approach play. Usually doesn't even get to the point where he actually needs to play a volley if that first serve is in, to be honest. How is Poland doing in the medal count? Not too great, not too great. I think we have 1 silver, 3 bronzes, and there's also a boxer who's into the semifinals, and since they don't have the third place match there, she is already guaranteed a medal, just don't know which kind. But I think it's pretty much below what the expectation was. But honestly, I'm not really following the other competitions too much. I watched the women's hammer throw today. That's where we kind of had a medal hope. I mean, Anita Włodarczyk won the last 3 Olympic Games in women's hammer throw. But by now, I mean, she's 38 and also after many serious injuries. So no one was really expecting much from her. But she beat her season best result like 4 times and actually ended up being 4 centimeters away from a medal, which is a shame. But well, she's still the GOAT. So. Yeah, after Iga lost to Kim Zhang, we just decided to pack things up. Iga Świątek and Hubert Hurkacz were our only Olympians. Yes, Ashley, I remember that for sure. That wine was horrible. I woke up the next morning and everything would have been fine, but I just still had that taste in my mouth. And then I went running, and again, everything would have been fine. I was feeling okay. I went running at like 9 a.m. after that, drinking a lot of that port wine, and I was feeling okay. But I stopped running, and suddenly I feel like I'm gonna puke because I feel that taste of that effing wine again on my, I don't know, just in my mouth and somewhere here as well. And yeah, that was not ideal because that taste is not to my liking. But again, as I said on that stream, free alcohol. So we are not in Porto anymore. Yes, John is in Bonn and I am in Poland again. How did the rematch go? It was actually very close. It was actually a lot more spicy than the previous one. 6-4, 7-5 to me. John had a big lead in the second set, and I was having a bit of a rough time there. Any shot that kind of required any touch from me, I couldn't do. I don't know if it's just sort of form of the day thing, the fact that it was very windy, or is it the racket? I don't know. But like literally, like lobs, drop shots, passing shots, whatever. I was trash as hell, and well, I could still hit okay-ish, I guess, but the court was very bouncy. John was doing his best Constant Lestien, Corrente Ute and stuff impersonation. He was like really trying to keep me from, well, basically doing anything to keep me from playing tennis, and was doing a good job at that as well. I mean, I didn't take any water, and I didn't realize that there was a bathroom there where I could refill my water bottle, and I was feeling like I was gonna die. Somehow I kept going. I saved 2 set points in the second set, and we actually were running out of time. So again, it was pretty brutal. But I will get back to that in a second, because Gabriel Diallo is just gonna face a break point, 30 all, and he throws out this slice approach by like 2 meters wide. And well, is it a virtual match point? Maybe. Certainly would put Khachanov in a great position to get this win on board. And as we said, like it would be massive for Diallo to get this done, but like Khachanov also needs to win. Needs any win really at the moment. It is a good breakpoint save from Diallo though. Nice backhand down the line forehand cross combination. And yeah, I was just gonna say that after like saving 2 set points in the final game that we played outdoors, we had to move indoors for the next two at 6-4-5 all, and these conditions suited me so much better. And so I won the next two games, and yeah, I won 6-4-7-5, but it was really tough. Compared to Estoril, I really had to leave a lot more out there. And whereas in Estoril, after a few games, I was feeling like very comfortable, zero stress, just hitting, having a good time. Here, I was frustrated as heck, which yeah, again, just means that the match was close, really, or other than anything else. Very bouncy hard courts. I wonder if the Porto courts were kind of similar in their feel. I mean, obviously, we watched a lot of tennis on them, and I could tell that they are bouncy. The kick serve of August Holmgren was just impeccable on them. But I wonder if these that we played on were similar or not in that sense, because it just felt like, yeah, the ball is constantly above my head anyway, even though we're playing on hard now. But yeah, it was also well, pretty extreme heat, pretty extreme wind. Rough encounter, but I'm glad that I somehow pulled through. Wasn't pretty at all. How many bathroom breaks did John take? I think just one. After the first set, we had a bit of a longer break because John was walking around the venue looking for somewhere to refill his water bottle, and I actually thought he didn't find the place. But well, later it turned out that he did. The toilet break was pretty long, but I'm fine with that. To be honest, I was really tired. I was like sweating like crazy. The heat was getting to me. I was feeling like Daniel Collins, when she retired due to a heat stroke. Like I wasn't seriously thinking that I was gonna faint soon or something like that, but I just knew that I'm like on the verge of exhaustion. Really, that I really don't have that much left, and I have to like channel every energy, every possible drop of energy I have to keep playing. So the toilet break that John took, sort of toilet break, was perfectly fine with me. It gave me a lot of time to reset as well. And as to that question for me preferring indoors, I didn't know that my preference was going to be so strong on this particular day. Generally, yes, I feel like I probably play my best tennis indoors, but it's just due to like the sort of both the play style and the sort of stroke production that I have. I think it's really good if I can take the ball early and there's no kind of extra factors like sun, wind, and stuff. But yeah, in this case, especially on these courts, at least that we played, the jump in conditions was like massive. I wasn't expecting it was going to be like that, but From literally like the first point that we played indoors, I was just feeling 10 times more comfortable with everything, with hitting the ball, with seeing the ball, with feeling the ball, with the movement. Like, yeah, literally, it was just a different game. I don't think generally my preference is that huge, but on these courts, where in these conditions when we played there, yes. And yes, it was very hot in Porto when we were there. I think Wednesday, Thursday, they were a little colder. Well, not even cold. I mean, they weren't cold. It was just, a bit more cloudy and kind of you could live outside, whereas on some of the other days it was rough. And yeah, the conditions when we played tennis definitely were kind of rough heat wise as well. Probably should have wore a cap, one of these hats that we have, Estoril or Porto, but I really don't like playing with a hat, so I try to avoid it if possible. And yeah, that court had zero shadow. Really, like there was no spot on the court when we could have any shadow, where we could have any shadow. I like the echo of indoor facilities, especially if there's several courts in play. Yeah, it's definitely a very different feeling in that sense too, and the squeaky shoes, right? But yeah, I don't know. These things just don't really matter to me, I guess. So I mostly look at where I'm gonna have the best chance to execute my game, and I think that's indoors or that artificial grass court that I kind of started playing on. I think that's where I'm strongest. But yeah, I think in Estoril when we played, I was feeding the ball very well. Like I was very precise with my shots if I wanted to, and that was not really the case here. So yeah, kind of wonder if maybe somehow on clay it's actually easier for me. I don't know. I guess I've had a lot of clay practice over the last 2 years or so. I barely play on hard courts, even though I like them. Indoor venues are significantly more expensive as well, so that kind of adds to it. But yeah, Khachanov still winning a lot of easy service points, and he gets himself to 4-all. Will he be able to look for that break now? Let's see. Definitely the possibility is there after Diallo missed the +1 backhand, just kind of floats it out. Didn't connect with the ball. Oh no, it's another +1 error like this. I mean, yeah, you just cannot miss shots like this. I understand that he's raw. I mean, he's been raw for ever since I started watching him play, like 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, it's just a shame this isn't going away. Like these errors are still in his game, and I usually try to avoid commentary like this. Like someone made an error, or like someone made pretty stupid error or something like that. But like yeah, Diallo just misses a lot of shots that seem unmissable on the offense, and it will be limiting his potential. And well, now we have 3 breakpoints for Khachanov. So if he had a slight chance in the previous Diallo service game, now is the time. Now is the time when he has a proper opportunity. Great return just now at Diallo's feet. I mean, Gabriel had no chance to move out in time, move away in time, move out. Yeah, sure. Anyway, trying to get him into that backhand cross pattern again, Khachanov, and did he find the line? Yes, he did. So again, it's the break, and it's a break to love now. And after the change of ends, Karen Khachanov is going to return to serve for a 2-set to love victory over Gabriel Diallo. A very good start to his campaign potentially. Let's see if he can do it. Does anyone know if what Rune is like off the court? Yes, I mean, I had like 1 or 2 interactions with him a few years ago, but basically everyone is saying the same. That yeah, off the court he's completely different and super nice. I cannot say a bad word about how he behaved towards me off the court. That was quite a while ago, but I don't think anything has changed in that since. Yeah, basically everyone is saying what I thought as well. Although, well, no, it was actually Casper who screamed "Yeah" at him, right, in the locker room. So maybe Casper is like that. Portugal is trying to do something about being overwhelmed by digital nomads, which is making rental prices soar. Interesting. I guess our friend Bogusz is kind of a digital nomad in a way. Sort of. Um, I mean, by now he's not a digital nomad probably, but in Portugal, given he is probably like really acclimatized and stuff. But I mean, he goes into a bar and he says the usual, and that already is a great indication that he has become more of a nomad, more than just a digital nomad in this particular country. But I guess he has. I mean, John to an extent is also a digital nomad. I guess I might become a digital nomad in the future. I'll see how my life sort of ends up working out. But for now, I could, and it wouldn't be a problem for any of the work I do so far if I started moving from country to country on a regular basis. Anyway, Khachanov serving for the match. 15 love already. And he's also going to get this next one done. Diallo with a bit of a shot to maybe find that inside in here. Go to the net. But yeah, he nets it. So things are looking pretty decent for Khachanov right now to try to wrap this match up. Now Diallo got him on the back foot, and again, this is just, yeah, you cannot miss that. I mean, either you can go into the open corner with the with some sort of a big forehand, or you can play a drop shot like he did. But again, the execution is just so all over the place, and this is unfortunately something that has not been improving about his game for a long while now. And 3 match points for Khachanov. Diallo tries to find a backhand cross-court return on the line, and he does. Has saved one of them. Will he finish this match off with another big serve, +1 forehand, go to the net play? Sorta. He doesn't even need to go to the net. He actually stays back, but the forehand is a winner anyway. 6-4, 6-4. Solid performance. I mean, Diallo definitely had his moments, had his chances, especially when he was trying to get back into that first set. There were these 3 breakpoints in the opener where Khachanov, at first, he came back from 1540 just by blasting his first serve 4 times in a row and like really keeping the points nice and quick. But in that second opportunity, like that was the one where Diallo had a breakpoint, Khachanov saves himself with a moonball and somehow survives the point. That was really crucial. And besides that, I mean, he was clearly the better player. He avoided all these like wild errors that Diallo was coming up with sometimes, just in unmissable spots on the attack. And that was kind of what led to his demise, I think, in the long run. Just put himself into trouble a bit too many times with shots like this, these forehands into the open court, these volleys that he wasn't too clean on, and yeah, eventually he just paid the price for giving Khachanov a bit too many opportunities. a bit of a short match in the end. But yeah, thank you guys for being here, and hopefully we're going to see each other a few more times during the course of the week. Of course, the ATP 1000 in Montreal, the WTA 1000 in Toronto. We're going to be trying to follow that on the channel as best as we can. You're probably going to get some content as well from the Bonn Challenger, from John, who is obviously there doing 2 in a row. I actually don't know if I've ever done 2 challengers in a row, so maybe John is doing something that I haven't done yet on the challenger circuit. But yeah, that's really neither here nor there. Anyway, just keep talking tennis, keep tuning into the content, subscribe, like everything, share if you like it, and yeah. Once again, thank you, and see you soon.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Ready? Play.
Hasn't dropped her serve since the first set. Hasn't had to save a break point since the middle of the second set.
That's a great first serve to kick off this potentially deciding game. 15-love, Krejcikova. Another one long there for Rybakina. And Krejcikova is just 2 points away from a first Wimbledon final. And she's not going to miss that smash at the nets with 3 match points for Krejcikova. I mean, this has been some performance from the Czech. And she's done it. That's unbelievable from Krejcikova. I think, particularly after that first set, people didn't give her a shot, and she's really just fought and used her tennis IQ to really, well, stop the power of Rybakina. I think Rybakina definitely upped the errors, but at the same time, you've got to give all the credit to Krejcikova.
Yeah, I mean, she was like getting smashed off the court in the first set. You couldn't really understand how she is supposed to hold serve. All the time she was either getting broken or saving breakpoints. And then she actually finds a way to like fire back. You know, she not only improves that serve, but also she's like hitting back at Rybakina, I think, with these like deeper, flatter shots, very different to how she actually beat Ostapenko, which is impressive to me as well, that it was a completely different strategy against, in theory, a similar opponent. And yeah, I mean, it gives me a lot of confidence that she can also do it in the final, maybe. That like whatever Paolini throws at her, even if it stuns her, even if it stuns Barbora for a second or two, for maybe for a set, then she'll probably sort of have a good chance of turning the match around just because of her versatility and how, Jasmine is a very simple player, actually. She just kind of goes out, cracks the forehands, and that's mostly it. I mean, she grinds, she finds very well. Whereas Krejcikova, the last couple of matches especially, she's shown a lot of layers to her game, and maybe that will be enough. Yeah, she makes the upset of the championships kind of for me. I mean, I know Putintseva beat Swiatek, but Swiatek, I guess if she played Rybakina in the semis, I would have considered her the underdog. So I think Krejcikova makes the more monumental result for me.
The real Hector saying that the head-to-head is the real of Krejcikova. I think he's talking about the head-to-head with Rybakina, but the head-to-head between Krejcikova and Paolini is 1-0 to Krejcikova, but I don't think you can take much from that because that only meeting came in Australian Open qualifying 6 years ago.
That's pretty funny that they're qualifying. Yeah.
And now they're in a Grand Slam final. I mean, in some ways, I think good off form, it's actually more of a surprise that Krejcikova is in the final because Krejcikova, other than the Australian Open quarterfinal, has been having a tough year, particularly with injury and I think some illness as well. But she's proved why she's a Grand Slam champion and could be a 2-time Grand Slam champion on some Saturday.
Yeah, she had a tricky one as well with Kudermetova in the first round. Like both players similarly out of form, but similarly potentially dangerous. And yeah, that was amazing. Head to head against Paolini, 3-0 Krejcikova. Where do you see that? No, against Rybakina. Okay,
yeah. I think that's Rybakina.
Rybakina it is now. And I think she also turned around the Ostrava match in a similar fashion. She also lost the first set 3-6 and then won 7-6, 6-4 or something like that. Sid says that all talk of top 3 or 4 is simplistic. There are quite a few good players in WTA with differing forms at various times. Yeah, but there is a top 4 that like really outshines everyone else in terms of consistency, especially. And if these 4 players lose somewhere, then like it's Wild West. Like it's literally anyone can do it. Anyone can make a final. Anyone can get the title. Krejcikova, of course, is very much in that group of anyone's who can pull it off. Paolini deserves a lot of credit for getting there 3 times this year, like picking up these pieces 3 times this season. But definitely she did remarkably well to get there. And yeah, what else can we say?
Yeah, so you back in.
We've seen 2 very good semis today after all, right?
Yeah, 2 very competitive semis. I think the first one was slightly higher quality, but I think this one was more interesting because of the way that Krejcikova turned the tide.
First one was higher drama. This one was higher quality, I'd say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of like entertainment, compelling watch, yeah, the first one is kind of unbeatable. But this was a very good counterpart to it, a great foil to it, I think. And yeah, should be a very unexpected, but still a very good storyline final. Krejcikova, Paolini, both Roland Garros and Wimbledon. Krejcikova doing this out of nowhere now, but also kind of has a Roland Garros and Wimbledon final in her arsenal now, under her belt. So yeah, very unexpected, but she did remarkably well to come back here. And it is the stuff of John Silk's dreams, actually. And also, Krejcikova, he was picking her to do like ridiculous stuff last year. She was his pick to make the final in every slam or something like that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this time he picked her to lose in round one. Which yeah, I agree about that. I mean, in the first round against Kudermetova, it was such a horrible 3-hour mess from both players. They were both similarly out of form, potentially dangerous if they just find a nice draw, which actually they had after the first round. So kudos to Barbora for like really turning this event into a completely resurgence. And yeah.
Yeah, it should be a good final in 2 days' time.
Thank you, Hector, for the great coverage, guys. But yeah, anything more to add on the Rybakina Krejcikova match or on the final on Saturday?
No, I just kind of hope it's as competitive as these two semi-finals have been, and yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, I don't think anyone would have predicted Krejcikova to become a 2-time Grand Slam champion this year, but it's probably looking likely.
Yeah, by Thursday, my interest in a Grand Slam event is usually much lower already. By second Thursday, I should say. But I do not regret watching this match. Definitely not. I do not regret watching the previous one either. I think this was a really remarkable couple of Final Four encounters that we got. Hopefully, the final will deliver. I hope it will. I think at least, with Rybakina Pauli, there was this chance that Elena just comes out and blows her off the court in like an hour. I think with Barbora, even if she's going to win, it's probably going to take a bit longer. Like she's probably going to have to work Paulini out a little bit more. She's not really going to do like a 6-2, 6-1 Świątek final at Roland Garros. I think it's going to take, just more, even if it's confident, even if it's comfortable. So maybe it's better for the actual match we're going to see on Saturday. Who knows? And that's probably going to be it then from us. Thank you, Matt, for... Well, actually, it was me who joined you, but I guess thank you for doing this commentary with me, and thank you to everyone in the chat.
Here we are for this very special encounter at the Bonn Open between Jeffrey Blancano against Damir the Demon Jumur. He's very much demonized thus far, showing a bit of frustration after losing the first set. Anyway, the Frenchman to serve 15-30. Bit of pressure on that Frenchman's shoulders, like a couple of baguettes weighing over him. Needs to take some time. No hurry, he says, at 15-30. He's up a set, 2-all here. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go there down the middle, and that is a shank. One that even Stefanos Tsitsipas would be proud of. Get that towel, mop your brow. Return to the baseline where you'll know it's 30-all. Screeches from the other courts. But they don't put this young Frenchman off. Look at him. Prowling, brushing, questioning. Maybe they do put him off. He needs to be focused. It's 30-all, 2-all, tense times here at the Bonn Open. Goes out wide with that, comes into the net, does the volley. Does he put it away? No, he doesn't. But he puts that one away, and his opponent, the demon, Damir Jumur, just cannot believe what has happened to him. I'll tell you what's happened. You've been flummoxed, and you've lost the point. We would take another look at it if we had a replay, but we don't. But who knows? You don't even need a replay. It's in our heads. Okay. The Frenchman to serve. I say you're going out wide. You don't, you go down the tee. Clip the net though, so he's going to get another shot at it. Is he going to take my advice and go out wide on this one? Did so successfully on that last time for a serve and volley, even though he'd messed up the volley. Goes down the tee again, does come into the net, does a little drop shot, and you know what? Jamur is like, I can't even be bothered to run that down. And he's going to clean that line. Look at this, he's cleaning the line because he's so annoyed with some funny bounces. Here we are for this very special encounter at the Bon Open between Jeffrey Khachanov against Damir the Demon Jumur. He's very much demonized thus far, showing a bit of frustration after losing the first set. Anyway, the Frenchman to serve, 15-30. Bit of pressure on that Frenchman's shoulders, like a couple of baguettes, weighing over him. Needs to take some time. No hurry, he says, at 15-30. He's up a set, 2-all here. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go there down the middle, and that is a shank. One that even Stefanos Tsitsipas would be proud of. Get that towel, mop your brow. Return to the baseline where you'll know it's 30-all. Screeches from the other courts. But they don't put this young Frenchman off. Look at him, prowling, brushing, questioning. Maybe they do put him off. He needs to be focused. It's 30-all, 2-all, tense times here at the Bon Open. Goes out wide with that, comes into the net, does the volley. Does he put it away? No, he doesn't. But he puts that one away, and his opponent, the demon, Damir Jumur, just cannot believe what has happened to him. I'll tell you what's happened. You've been flummoxed, and you've lost the point. We would take another look at it if we had a replay, but we don't. But who knows? You don't even need a replay, it's in our heads. Okay, the Frenchman to serve. I say you're going out wide. You don't, you go down the tee. Clip the net though, so he's going to get another shot at it. Is he going to take my advice and go out wide on this one? Did so successfully on that last time for a serve and volley, even though he'd messed up the volley. Goes down the tee again, does come into the net, does a little drop shot, and you know what? Jamur is like, I can't even be bothered to run that down. And he's going to clean that line. Look at this, he's cleaning the line because he's so annoyed with some funny bounces. Here we are for this very special encounter at the Bon Open between Jeffrey Khachanov against Damir the Demon Jumur. He's very much demonized thus far, showing a bit of frustration after losing the first set. Anyway, the Frenchman to serve, 15-30. Bit of pressure on that Frenchman's shoulders, like a couple of baguettes, weighing over him. Needs to take some time. No hurry, he says, at 15-30. He's up a set, 2-all here. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go there down the middle, and that is a shank. One that even Stefanos Tsitsipas would be proud of. Get that towel, mop your brow. Return to the baseline where you'll know it's 30-all. Screeches from the other courts. But they don't put this young Frenchman off. Look at him, prowling, brushing, questioning. Maybe they do put him off. He needs to be focused. It's 30-all, 2-all, tense times here at the Bon Open. Goes out wide with that, comes into the net, does the volley. Does he put it away? No, he doesn't. But he puts that one away, and his opponent, the demon, Damir Jumur, just cannot believe what has happened to him. I'll tell you what's happened. You've been flummoxed, and you've lost the point. We would take another look at it if we had a replay, but we don't. But who knows? You don't even need a replay, it's in our heads. Okay, the Frenchman to serve. I say you're going out wide. You don't, you go down the tee. Clip the net though, so he's going to get another shot at it. Is he going to take my advice and go out wide on this one? Did so successfully on that last time for a serve and volley, even though he'd messed up the volley. Goes down the tee again, does come into the net, does a little drop shot, and you know what? Jamur is like, I can't even be bothered to run that down. And he's going to clean that line. Look at this, he's cleaning the line because he's so annoyed with some funny bounces.
Ready. Play.
I want one more thing from you, Francisca. Can you look at the camera, and I want you to say, I am Francisco Jorge, and I am a friend of the show. Can you try it?
I am Francisca Jorge, and I'm a friend. I'm a wait.
Go. It's okay.
I'm Francisca Jorge, and I'm a fan of the show.
One more time. Can you say, I'm a friend of the show?
Friend.
Like amigo.
Friend.
A friend.
Ah,
So, because we joke, we have players come on all the time. They have no idea, but after they've been on, we say, oh, Yelena Ostapenko is a friend of the show. She has no idea. But so if we get you to say, I am Francisca Jorge, or how you say your name, and
I am Francisca Jorge, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect. Thanks, man. Just want you to do me one more thing. I want you to hold the microphone. I want you to look in the... Don't be nervous. I mean, listen, you've just beaten Yelena Ostapenko.
I'm not nervous.
No, you shouldn't be. If you can beat Ostapenko twice in one day, you can do this for sure. I want you to look at the camera and just say, hi, my name is, say your name, and then say, and I'm a friend of the show.
Friend of the show?
Yeah?
Okay. Hi, my name is Susan, and I'm a friend of the show.
Say your whole name for me. That's the only thing I want.
Sorry.
Surname too. No, you're doing great.
You're
doing
cutting,
great.
huh?
Yeah, I'll cut it up. Don't worry. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Thank you very much, Susan.
You're welcome.
Good luck for the rest of the tournament. And I will tag you on Instagram, and you can reject. I do have one more tiny thing, which is I want you to look into the camera.
Yeah.
I want you to say your name.
Yes.
And I want you to say, I am a friend of the show.
I'm a friend of the show. Okay.
Perfect, yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Do you ever think about maybe making adjustments, maybe taking a step back, or is it, you know what, all or nothing all the time?
Yeah, I think you're like years late. I mean, people keep asking me, but you're like a couple of years late asking that question.
Sorry, I'm a newbie.
You're a newbie, okay, me too.
Ready? Play.
Señoras y señores, el fisioterapeuta ha sido llamado al campo. Vamos a invitar.
Senhoras e senhores, o vencedor, Thiago Monteiro. Aplausos também para Carlos Alcaraz. Desejamos melhoras e até a próxima.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.